Hello everyone, we're going to have a quick little video about the 3DS, or the new 3DS. So Nintendo announced they were going to release a new 3DS called the new 3DS, which is going to be confusing and is possibly one of the most stupidest titles ever since the Xbox One. But, some people have asked me my thoughts on it, and at this point, they gave enough information for me to really give my idea of it. Because when it was first initially talked about, there wasn't enough questions got asked, so, mainly my biggest concern with it is the compatibility. Now, the extra buttons and stuff that it's going to have could be easily done with an add-on. You know, the 3DS and XL have a thing that slides on, adds an extra analog stick. And they could probably just as simply make a newer version of that has the two extra trigger buttons that are on the back. Because, I mean, that's all it's really adding. Two trigger buttons and the second analog stick above the four buttons on the side. So, they could add that as an attachment, but the problem is the new 3DS has new crap in it that actually makes it a better system. Xenoblade Chronicles is being ported to the new 3DS, and because the newer better processing in it, it's going to function on there, but it won't be compatible with all 3DSs. And that there was, in my opinion, the big flaw with the whole thing. If it was like, say, let's say like the Game Boy Color came out and the original Game Boy. These are all original Game Boys, and the Xenoblade Chronicles is basically a Game Boy Color exclusive, while there will be ones that are compatible with both. I think a smart developer is going to try and keep within the limitations of both versions, or if they're smart, they'll make the enhancements for basically like the Game Boy Color cartridges. Let's see if I can get one here. And the container I have them in is behind, at least the ones I be in. All my ones I have been are in the room. Sorry, I didn't mean to hit that. Probably should have thought ahead about that. But, so this here. But yeah, look at an example here of all three here. There's one of mine. There's one of the actual colors. Okay, so, oh, that's going to be a bad example. So, as you know, with the Game Boy, in the Game Boy Color, if you don't know, the gray was for the original Game Boy. The black cartridge meant it was compatible with it in color, and the see-through cases were color exclusive and didn't work in the original. Most developers will be smart and do this. Make enhancements that work in the newer system, but make it compatible with the older system. Because there's always a large base. I mean, I think there was at least over 3 million 3DSs sold now. So that's a large install base. So you obviously don't want to pull a Kinect and basically be like, hey, let's make the most limited freaking good. That's the bad thing with accessories. Steel Battalion, Kinect, that stuff. Those accessories that become a requirement make it difficult for people to support or make money off of. So the last thing developers are wanting to do is completely cut their money sources of customers. But obviously there are all going to be games like the Xenoblade Chronicles port that are going to use the newer processing of the new 3DS. So they're not going to be compatible with this unless there was some really tricky design ideas they could do to get around that. And hopefully that will be the case. Hopefully smart developers will be somehow able to make it compatible with both. And like, you know, the enhancements won't work in the original 3DSs, But if you get a new 3DS, it has enhancements to it. With the space on the cartridge, it's a possibility. But if you're really wanting to push the technology, then obviously you'll go with the new 3DS and that. So, it's really a mix-up, and it's a bit of a shame. It's hard to say, like, the second analog stick's going to probably not be a problem for compatibility issues in a way if you have the add-on, but I'm not really sure what to really make with the extra trigger buttons. Having 4 up here, that's going to be really weird. But, basically if they make them compatible with both of them, you know, obviously offering different control schemes will be very important. But I think Nintendo is really harming themselves, putting the system in a corner by making it potential that it will have exclusives. Now, on one front, one could argue the new 3DS might be Nintendo's attempt at going to the next handheld. And I don't know, that it doesn't seem like it's new enough to be that. I mean, it seems more like the DSi of the 3D family. But, I mean, the only thing the DSi really introduced was the online digital store and the camera. And all the 3DSs all came with cameras on them in the digital store. So they'll... But the DSi did actually have exclusive games. I know of 3. I only know of some weird off-brand, first-person kind of shooty thing that makes the wheel environment. It's kind of like that weird head shooty game on your 3DS, where it uses the actual environment, paste crap over it. And there was some, I think it was a Konami game that also used it. And then there's a Japanese one I know that uses it. But I mean, there weren't a lot of exclusive games for the DSi, so they were almost non-existent and very unnoticeable for the mass. But this has the potential of being more massive, because it's not just a little camera function where, you know, only a few people would either make a gimmick idea or really think out of the box for a unique idea. I mean, it has the potential of really causing a giant rift between the two markets of it. It'll be interesting to see how developers respond to it. I mean, on one hand, it's adding new buttons and stuff, and the battle processing in theory would be good, but like it's saying, with everyone, like, basically, I'm not going to really get a new 3DS until it gets cheaper. I think it will probably actually potentially suffer the exact same launch as the 3DS and the Wii U. Well, people are just going to say, it doesn't have enough games for me to go and buy it, you know. Because with the new 3DS, it's just going to completely rely on its exclusives, really. The exclusives and the added controls are going to be the only thing that really are going to draw people to the new 3DS, really. And until it gets a large amount of exclusives, how many people are going to willingly throw out, like, $2.99 for another 3DS? I mean, I certainly ain't, unless, like, the next Souls game or something popped up on it. I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't eventually get one, but brand new? I mean, I didn't get the 3DS XL or 3DS at all until I completely skipped the original model, because nothing was interesting for a while, and I knew if I waited, they were going to make another model, because after the Game Boy Advance and the original DS, I learned my lesson was like, they're going to make another fucking version. It'll be either bigger or something, but it'll be another version, and I'm just going to wait for that. And it came out true. The 3DS XL came out, so I was like, there we go. Virtue's the Last Reward came out. Bought that in 3DS XL. That's why I got my 3DS XL 4 was Virtue's Last World. It wasn't technically my first game, but it at least was coming up, so, you know, obviously I wanted to get the system all prepped and everything. But I just don't. I mean, Xenoblade Chronicles, yes, that'd probably be insanely exciting on your 3DS. But the smart people who already knew about it, I'm not saying anyone who didn't know about it, I'm not saying you're not smart. I'm saying the smart people who knew about it, who went and got it, because it was pretty much guaranteed to be whale. Or not necessarily whale, but in a high demanding price. GameStop exclusive, low amount copies, and Nintendo had very little interest of even giving it to us. We had to beg the living shit just to get what we got. And now you can see tons of copies. The price has gone down to about $50 now at certain outlets if you look really well. I think on Amazon they're about down to $50, so it's not as terrifying as it used to be. I mean, there was the over 100 and 80 and 70, so it's been going down, but it's still a really high price for a last-gen game, and, you know, usually you don't see too many last-gen games keep like to a $50+ money range usually, unless it just was really well in high demand, which is basically... Xenoblade's not necessarily well, it's definitely a high demand. It's kind of like in a situation with Earthbound. It has a really high pedigree, a really high form of respect towards it. But now I'm just talking way too much about Xenoblade. I'm just saying, it has potential of being good. It's just, who's going to really be an early adapter unless you have a lot of spare money? I mean, if you're in my situation and you haven't got a PS4, Xbox One, both, or one of them, or that, the odds are that's probably the next thing you're going to be buying. Why are you going to get the new 3DS until it gets a lot of hit stuff? And that's only if it does. You know, and it has the potential of being the Kinect effect, where developers are afraid of putting this stuff on it exclusively, because they'll be locking themselves out of the already 3 million install base that the 3DS already has. So, I kind of feel like they should have waited and kind of took what they had, improved it more, and used that for the next handheld generation in the future. Not now. I mean, I give some more years for goodness sakes, but it feels too soon to update your handhelds. I mean, the Vita ain't that old, and the 3DS is, what? I think maybe 3 years now? I mean, that ain't incredibly old yet. I mean, it just feels too new to buy a whole freaking new handheld. But that's just my point of view. I hope for the best for it. And like I said, I probably won't be getting one until it gets cheap or it has some really kick-ass exclusives on it. And, I mean, I know I have odd choices. I mean, like, some people probably be like, you bought a 3DS XL for Virtue's Last Reward? What's wrong with you, bro? What's wrong with you? I mean, that ain't the only game I got. I mean, there's quite a handful of titles that came out. You know, the Odyssey, Shin Tensei, several of the games. Of course, Soul Hackle is finally coming out for freaking America for the first damn time. I mean, it's not that it was the only game. It just was at the timing. It was a game related to a series that we liked, and, you know, at the time there were other games I was interested in, but not enough to smack tons of money down quite yet. I mean, it was the gate opener. That's what's really important to a system to get adopters. You need that game that's going to open the gates and just suck up all those people in there. And then they'll start buying all the other titles. There has to be that title that gets them in that gate. And Bloodborne is definitely going to be the game for the PS4 for me. But, again, I'm just going way off topic. I hope the best for the new 3DS, but I just feel like it's going to have an awful launch. Like, it needs this awesome lineup of exclusive titles if it's going to really get anyone to buy the thing. I can't imagine too many people buy it. So there are going to be people to buy it. People who want faster graphics and that, you know, they're going to be really interested in it. But I just don't see it widely being bought unless it has something really, really freaking kick-ass. And that's probably why Xenoblade Chronicles is being done on it, to be honest. If Nintendo is playing it smart, they'll release that in America. We're getting the sequel, spiritual sequel, as far as I understand. It's not going to have any direct connection to Chronicles, but I'm hoping that's a sign that they saw potential, and they might be trying to act with using Xenoblade Chronicles as a way to get people to buy it, and that's a possibility. It looks good in that, so I mean, and of course, there's going to be all the people that, like with the XL and the 2DS, everyone's, because I know everyone, the mom was like, why didn't you add the fucking second analog stick on there? You had the opportunity to add the second analog stick. You didn't add the second analog stick. Both to the XL and the 2DS. And now people are really going to fucking, those people who are really pissed about that are going to really be pissed about the fact that the new 3DS has a built-in second analog stick. And it's just, I hope for the best for the thing, but I feel like I'm going to be a very late adapter to it. I just don't see me getting it in its first or even second year of it coming out unless there's just something really kick-ass. And I mean, that's a possibility, but I think most companies like Atlas doesn't seem like they're going full-fledged into the next generation stuff. A lot of Japanese companies aren't really going head first into the next generation. They're dipping into it, but they're keeping more into the larger install bases. And I think companies like Atlas and stuff are going to stick to the larger install base unless it really kicks off very well. Which it could, but you know, those are just my thoughts and my opinions. In the end, it'll be a good system, I think. It just seems really early to be upgrading. It's like, shit costs a lot of money. It costs a lot of money for this stuff, I tell you, man. But it does make me happy I did not buy a 3DS capture card, because for a long time I've been regretting not throwing the extra money at a 3DS capture card. Now that this has been announced, I might actually consider seeing about getting a capture card version of that. So in a way, it might have worked good to me. The thing with the modern handheld capture card mods is they're very expensive. Like, I really wanted to get a Vita one, but it's $500. I mean, considering the Vita was already price dropped and shit, that's more than getting a fucking PS4 or Xbox One. That's more than getting an Xbox One. It's crazy shit. But now I'm just blabbing way off topic. But those are my thoughts. What do you think? Do you think the new 3DS will be a success? Will you be buying one on launch? What are your thoughts? Do you think it'll be the next Kinect for Nintendo? Will it have the Kinect effect for Nintendo? Or can it rise above the original 3DS and master a whole new army behind it? Only time will tell. Until next time.